Hey, do you like comic books? Have you ever said to yourself, boy, I wish I could draw, because I got a great idea for a comic book? Well, you can. And then you're going to say, oh, but I can't draw. What if I show you you can draw? And you can produce a comic book that people will read. Now there's a few supplies you're going to need to pick up before we can get started, so let's get those. Now, one thing is Bristol board by Strathmore, 9x12 sheets, and this is a vellum surface. You can also use a plate surface. You're going to need some paper like this. This is 9x12, which is a great size. Okay, now the next thing you're going to need is a T-square, triangle, and a ruler. These are usually available at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or even Office Max. Not very expensive, but they are going to come in handy for you. And then you're going to need a little roll of masking tape, an eraser, something to draw with, of course. I like to draw, use a mechanical pencil for what I draw. You can use a regular pencil, doesn't matter. A Sharpie for inking. Get a fine point Sharpie for that, or you might want to use a flare, Papermate flare. That's a good pen also. Now, one other thing you might consider is this is what's called a photo blue pencil, and that means that a copier will not pick up whatever you draw in blue. It'll save you a lot of erasing. If you do your original in blue, go over it in ink, you won't have to do very much erasing. It does limit the detail you can get, but if you're not doing much detail, this may be the way to go. And of course, the other thing you're going to need is a table. You're going to have somewhere to do your drawing. Find a table with a good edge on it for your T-square. That's important. So that's just a few of the things you're going to need to get started. They're easy to find. You may have some of them already. So let's get those and let's get started. Okay, here's the first thing we want to do. We have our paper and we have our straight edge right here. Put the straight edge against the edge of the table. Take your paper, bump it up against there. Take your masking tape, take a piece, put it right on the corner. Another piece on this corner. And a piece on each corner on the top. Now your drawing paper is square. So you can take, if you need to draw any straight lines, whatever you need to do, now you can draw a straight line with your square. Like that, or if you need to draw a straight line this way, it's always going to be straight. Now we're going to take our ruler and measure a 1/2 inch in from the edge, a little mark, and a 1/2 inch in from this edge and put a little mark. Then we can take the triangle and we'll draw. You need a border when you're drawing comics so that you don't go past that border. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make a 1/2 inch border all the way around. And we finish up our border. Now we've got a border all the way around. Now I want to take our ruler and measure from this line to this line, which is 8 inches. So the middle of that is 4. Take your square and your triangle and draw a line right down the middle of the page. Draw it lightly. Cut your page in half. Then you want to measure down the edge of the page, which is 11 inches long to the outside border. And at about 3.5 inches make a mark. And then at 7 inches make a mark. And that's good enough. What we're going to do is just give ourselves a guide for making our panels. So at the first mark, draw a very light line across. Second mark, very light line. It gives you the panels on the page, but you do not have to stick to those sizes. Now here's a typical panel that I might draw. That's me and my cat in the future, 2064. But anyway, you might say, well, I don't want to draw all that detail and I can't draw all that detail. That's fine. I just wanted to show you kind of what I do. Now let's go on from there. Now let's look at the same panel with less detail. If you can draw that well or something like that, that's fine. That'll work great. But some people say, oh no, I can't, I'm not going to be able to draw that. Well, can you draw something like this? This will tell exactly the same story. It's just a lot less detail. And if you say, oh no, that's not right, I'm just not going to be able to do that. Well, try this. Stickmen. Now I'm sure you can draw stickmen. Very simple. But you say, oh, nobody's going to want to read stickmen. Yeah, they do. One of the top small press artists is Matt Fizzell. He's even worked for Disney. All he draws is stickmen. So drawing stickmen is just fine. And this is John Porcellino, another hugely popular small press comic book artist. And that's what I mean by you can draw a comic. If you can draw those stickmen and get your story across, it's just fine. People will read it, believe me. Now you say, oh, but I don't print well. I can't do the lettering. Well, let me show you how you can do the lettering. Print your dialogue out on a piece of paper from your computer. Cut out your lettering. Cut as close as you can to the lettering. Then get your glue stick. Put some glue on it and stick it in place. Draw a word balloon around it. Stick the last little piece in place, and voila, you've got it. So, just to recap, draw the border around on your paper, set up your panels roughly, start drawing your story in the panels, and you can change the size of these panels any way you want. Draw it first in pencil, then ink it. If you're doing stickmen, you may not even have to do pencil. You may be able to do it right with ink, but normally you would do pencil. Now I'm going to show you how to actually make the comic book and print it. We're going to make what's called a digest size book. 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, folded in half, makes a digest size book. If you take 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper, like this, put them inside of each other, you've got at least a 7-page book. You have the cover, you have the inside, page here, a page here, a page here, a page here, and a page on the back. 7 pages is a lot. It's a lot of drawing, and it's a long comic book actually. but it's about what you would normally do. So I would give that a try. See if your story will go for 7 pages. If it will only go, you know, shorter, fill up just one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. Well, that should keep you busy for a while. Let's save the next part until the next video. And that'll be how to paste up your comic book like this, how to make copies, how to distribute it a little bit, how to make some contacts with other small press comic book creators. I'll show you all those kinds of things in the next video. Comment if you like this video. Comment if you have questions. I'll surely answer them for you. I'll put my email address down in the description. And if you do draw a comic, why don't you send me a picture, a couple of the panels. I'd really love to see it. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this, and come on back for the second part, and we'll get this comic book completed. Have some vegan tanadas.